Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to introduce articles of impeachment against Associate Justices of the Supreme Court Clarence Thomas and Samuel Anthony Alito, Jr. Against Justice Thomas, the resolution includes 3 total articles: 1 count of failure to disclose financial income, gifts, reimbursements, property interest liabilities, and transactions, among other information, and 2 counts of refusal to recuse from matters concerning his spouse's legal and financial interests before the court. The second resolution includes the following impeachment articles against Justice Alito: 1 count of refusal to recuse from cases in which he had a personal bias or prejudice concerning a party before the court, and 1 count of failure to disclose financial incomes, gifts, reimbursements, property interests, among other information.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the Democrats and their attempt to overthrow the Supreme Court in our republic, okay? They're actively conducting an insurrection against the Supreme Court in front of our faces, while at the same time boohoo whining and crying about Republicans being a so-called threat to democracy, while Democrats at every chance they get always are showing us that they do not care about democracy. They do not care about our republic. They do not care about anything except power and control. And they will stop at nothing in order to accumulate power and control, even if that means overthrowing the Supreme Court, which is something that AOC signaled that Democrats will try to do if they miraculously win the presidency, the House, and keep the Senate in the next election, because AOC has filed articles of impeachment against the Supreme Court, particularly against Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas. Now, I'm going to explain to you guys why this is so silly, okay? And it's very silly for multiple reasons. But first, I want to go ahead and play the video so you guys can get a better understanding of kind of what's going on here. Take a look.
Just minutes ago, we got breaking news that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has officially filed articles of impeachment against Justices Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas. That comes just after Senators Sheldon Whitehouse and Ron Wyden made a formal request to DOJ. They want a special counsel appointed to criminally investigate Supreme Court Justice Thomas for accepting travel and the loan of a luxury car from wealthy donor friends. NBC's Ryan Noble still with us on Capitol Hill. MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin is here with me. Okay, Ryan, what do we know about these impeachment articles? I know this story just broke. What happens next?
So this comes from, as you rightly point out, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York City, and she's filed 2 articles of impeachment against Justice Samuel Alito and Justice Clarence Thomas. And these articles of impeachment are not based in any of the decisions that either of these 2 justices have made, but instead specifically about their conduct around the office. For instance, in both Thomas and Alito's case, she is accusing them of not properly disclosing financial benefits and gifts that they were given by donors and others, and in some cases people that had business before the court or even had a vested interest, a political interest in some of the issues before the court. And she's also doing that in the case of Clarence Thomas, saying that he refused to recuse himself from certain cases that his spouse had a vested interest in as well. His wife, Ginny Thomas, of course, was very much involved in the Stop the Steal effort, the efforts to overturn the 2020 election and things along those lines. Also, she is accusing Justice Alito as well of refusing to recuse himself from certain cases of which he may have a conflict of interest. So these are very specific accusations that Ocasio-Cortez is leveling against these 2 Supreme Court justices. It comes at a time where Democrats are getting increasingly frustrated about the direction of the court. Obviously, the decisions that this court has rendered over the past couple of months, but also the conduct of these Supreme Court justices and the lack of oversight that they apparently seem to have without any kind of specific code of ethics that they must follow.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you guys why this is so damn silly, okay? And the liberal media has been extremely hypocritical about how they're covering this, because MSNBC, this correspondent, is not being honest in regards to why AOC is doing this. He says that, well, AOC is not doing this because she disagrees with the court's decisions. She's doing this because of the controversy surrounding their conduct. Well, first and foremost, she is in fact doing this because she doesn't agree with the Supreme Court. There is no other reason for her to do this outside of that, and also the fact that this is serving as a distraction in order to get the media to talk about something else besides Biden's mental deterioration. But when you actually understand and look at the allegations from Democrats against the Supreme Court, you just got to laugh because these people are so desperate. They really are. Okay, so there are a couple issues that the Democrats have with the conservative justices, which forms the basis of AOC's articles of impeachment. One being this apparent conflict of interest and failure to disclose personal gifts and private flights and vacations that were paid for by billionaires or friends of the Supreme Court justices. And then two, they have an issue with the conduct of the wives of Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas. Okay, with Samuel Alito, they have a problem with his wife flying an American flag upside down outside of their property after January 6th, even though it didn't happen right after January 6th. It was like 2 weeks after January 6th, but somehow they connected it back to January 6th, even though it had nothing to do with January 6th. An appeal to heaven sign was flown at Samuel Alito's beach house, which also, again, is something that, in my opinion, is not connected to January 6th at all, but Democrats somehow found a way to connect it back to January 6th. They also have an issue with Jenny Thomas, who is Clarence Thomas's wife, sending text messages to Trump officials at the White House about her opinions on the election. So the Democrats are arguing that because of the actions of the wives of these conservative justices, they should recuse themselves from the Trump cases involving January 6th and immunity, right? This is the argument that they're making because their wives are being private citizens doing what they want to do, what they're allowed to do as private citizens. Therefore, the Supreme Court justices must recuse themselves from these cases because of this conflict of interest, because of something that their wives did, not something that they did. That's the argument, right? That's how silly this is. The other argument is that, well, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito accepted all these lavish gifts and plane rides and vacations from these billionaires and didn't disclose it as if they were hiding something. However, when you actually look into these allegations, you'll quickly find that they didn't disclose it because they didn't have to be disclosed. Okay? These gifts, these vacations actually falls under the personal hospitality exception and was not required to be disclosed. So it wasn't required. However, last year, the federal judiciary policymaking body, the Judicial Conference, clarified its guidelines to specify that the exception applies to staying at a private home, but that vacation expenses such as hotel bills or air travel must be reported. So essentially, they changed the rule last year where they said, hey, you know what? We're actually going to require you to disclose some things. And it just so happens that these things that the Supreme Court justices did, okay, they now are required to be disclosed. So guess what they did? They disclosed these things that they did in the past. Like, for example, Samuel Alito went on some fishing trip 20 years ago, okay, in which he got flown out to Alaska or something by some billionaire. And here's the kicker. Samuel Alito didn't even know the billionaire before being flown out because he wasn't there for the billionaire that flew him out. He was actually there with some other conservative donor who did not have any business before the Supreme Court. So again, there's no real conflict of interest. But yet these people are complaining about some fishing trip that Samuel Alito was on. They got paid for by a billionaire, even though there's no real conflict of interest at all. Now, Samuel Alito wasn't hiding this because he had talked about this before at Federalist Society conventions and stuff like that. So he wasn't hiding it. However, he didn't disclose it because it wasn't required to be disclosed based off the uniform understanding of the rules until the rules were clarified last year, in which he then disclosed it. And then Democrats got all upset about, oh my God, look, this is what the Supreme Court justices did 20 years ago. They went on these lavish trips. So essentially, they're punishing the Supreme Court justices for following the rules. That's what's happening. So again, it's just funny because Justice Sonia Sotomayor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, before she died, they were taking lavish trips all over Europe. Like, for example, in 2014, New York University paid for both of them to go to Italy. In 2012, Ginsburg traveled to New York to accept Glamour Magazine's Woman of the Year Award, which came with a gift bag valued at $2,500. Okay? You have the Center for Public Integrity that says that 6 of the Supreme Court's 9 members received paid trips to Europe in 2014, including Britain, London, Zurich. So again, this is very, very, very common among the Supreme Court for them to get these paid trips, to get these gifts that, again, they weren't required to disclose up until recently. But Democrats are only complaining about the gifts and the conflicts of interest of the conservative justices, but they're silent on Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who also accepted these gifts. They ain't got nothing to say about Ruth Bader Ginsburg being flown out all over the place by these liberal advocacy groups. Openly. Nothing to say about it. Quiet as a church mouse. But yet they want you to believe that these allegations against Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas are legit. And they want overthrowing the Supreme Court because that's what AOC and the Democrats are advocating for is nonsense. And again, the hypocrisy of all this is that these are the same people that boohoo, whine, and cry about Trump. Oh, well, Trump didn't like the outcome of the election, so he tried to overthrow the government because of that. Well, what's the difference between what you're accusing Trump of doing and what you're doing right now? You're quite literally trying to overthrow the Supreme Court based off made up nonsense because you don't like their opinions. You don't like their opinions. That's the only reason you're doing it. You have no other reason to be doing this. Now, again, this is not going to get past the House. Okay, this will never see the light of day. But again, the point is the fact that AOC is doing this is a signal that, hey, this is what Democrats want to do. This is a part of their agenda. This is the Democrat insurrection. That's what's happening. They're trying to overthrow the courts. Again, after telling us, lecturing us that you can't criticize the courts, you can't undermine the courts just because you don't like their opinions. When Trump was convicted in the New York hush money trial. But now all of a sudden, when it comes to Supreme Court, they can overthrow the judges because they don't like the judges' opinions. Again, the hypocrisy is stunning. Absolutely stunning. And that's why these people make me sick. They make me so sick. All the things they boohoo and whine and complain about when it comes to Republicans, they're doing it because they're doing it. When they boohoo, whine, and complain about democracy, it's because they're actively overthrowing democracy within their own party. When they boohoo, whine, and complain about conservatives criticizing the court, undermining the court, well, that's because they're actively undermining the court. That's what's happening, guys. And again, all this is a distraction, right? AOC is trying to distract from the real issue, which is Joe Biden and his mental condition. And because she's so desperate, she wants to file these bogus articles of impeachment in order to take the conversation off of Joe Biden. They so desperately want to make this election about Trump. They want to make it about the Supreme Court. They want to make it about everything except Biden. If you don't believe me, listen to Joy Reid.
Let's not be trying to play games with these kinds of small things to try to pull us into a direction. All that matters in this election, and I genuinely mean this, all that matters in this election, the only thing that matters in this election is keeping Donald Trump and Project 2025 out of power. Keeping that insane ideology of white Christian nationalism and white supremacy and white male Christian dominance out of power. That's all that matters. I genuinely don't care who the Democratic nominee is. And I'm being real. I don't care. If it's Biden, fine. If it's Kamala Harris, fabulous, right? But it's going to be one of the two of them. Let's just not play crazy games now. There are rules the way that this process works. It's one of the two of them. Either one, I don't care. Or if you want to parachute somebody else in and they not him, they not the orange one, they not the one who quotes Hitler, fine, put him in, I don't care. Because all that matters, I'm going to say this to y'all again, all that matters in this upcoming election is that you keep that man and that Project 2025 plan out of power. That's all you need to understand. And to do that, you are going to need to vote against the party that has embraced white Christian nationalism. The Republican Party is gone. It has been replaced by Project 2025 and MAGA and Trump. That's all that's left. That party is gone. And that means you have to vote against that letter, R, all the way down the ballot. You have to keep them out of power at the state level, keep them out of power at the federal level, or remove them from power at the state and federal level. That means anything with the R on it is toxic. Anything with the R on it is going to take your birth control. Anything with the R on it is going to make you register and take the military preparatory test in high school so that you're ready to be cannon fodder for them, to be deployed on the streets of the United States to shoot Americans who are protesting. They're going to take away your education. They're going to take away your opportunity to go to college. They're going to take away your books, your history. They're going to take away your right to even know the history of this country. They're going to replace it with so-called patriotic education. They're going to get rid of the Department of Education, meaning no more Pell Grants, no more money for school, no more student loans, no more equality for girls' sports. All of it gone, replaced with this white Christian nationalist insanity. And they want to do that not just federal, but state. The Republican Party at the state level is just as bad or worse. Baby, ladies, gentlemen, friends, nothing else matters. Okay? Nothing else matters but stopping Trump, the Republican Party, and Project 2025 in November. You have 119 days to get right with that and get comfortable with that. That's all that matters. Okay? And the only way to stop them is with our votes.
Yeah. So what you see there is a cult-like allegiance to the Democrat Party, a cult-like allegiance to, hey, let's just vote for anybody. It doesn't matter who they are as long as they're not Trump. Doesn't matter if they're trying to overthrow the Supreme Court. Doesn't matter if they rig their own elections within their own party like Democrats do. None of that stuff matters. They're just not Trump. While at the same time, I'm going to complain about Trump being an authoritarian, and that will be my reasoning for why you should not vote Trump no matter what, right? I mean, again, it's just, it's so silly, man, because these people are just so overtly pro everything that they claim that they're against. They're all about just power and control, and they don't care how they get it. They will try to make Trump the boogeyman and accuse him of trying to do all the things that they're trying to do. Again, this is the party that, you know, openly says that, yeah, we try to make sure our candidate wins in every Democrat primary. They're actively right now trying to overthrow Joe Biden, right? This is what they're doing. They're talking about trying to pack the court, impeaching Supreme Court justice for frivolous nonsense. It's right in your face. But yet again, they try to, well, Republicans are the ones you need to be concerned about, taking away all your freedoms and overthrowing our government and democracy. Again, it's hilarious. It really is. If you are an informed person, you should understand that every time Democrats come out here and complain about Republicans, what they're complaining about are things that they are actively trying to do. So with that being said, again, AOC's articles of impeachment aren't going to go anywhere, but it is a signal that Democrats, if they win the presidency, win the House, and keep the Senate, this is the agenda. The agenda is to create a dictatorship by overthrowing the Supreme Court. This is what they're trying to do. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.